Hello everybody and welcome back to SimRacingOnline Group C Honey Jar Series for round number 6 here from Spielberg in Austria. Unfortunately, we weren't able to broadcast the last round at Watkins Glen. However, the championship has changed quite a lot since then, with the championship lead changing once more, given back to Pablo Finotti, who is tied at the top with Jean van der Geest. This is because Jean van der Geest did in fact go to a new car from the after round 4 into Watkins Glen. He went into a new car. I believe he's now in the Mazda, quite possibly. Anyway, he's in a different car. It's not as fast, and he's having some difficulties getting to it. So, what that means is the weight penalties that have been applied here have also now changed. It means that going into this round here at Spielberg, Jean van der Geest and Pablo Finotti are tied on 90 kilograms of ballast on board. So the two championship leaders running the same ballast. Tony Talvitti is on 70 kilos, 30 kilos to David Ricciardi, and 20 to Bobby Volkanov. Now, quickly, whilst qualifying is underway here, before they all get onto their hot laps, just going to quickly check out what the results were for last time out at Watkins Glen. Like I said, unfortunately, wasn't able to be broadcasted. Tony Talvitti did win that event from second on the grid. Pablo Finotti finished in second, and David Ricciardi in third. Jeroen Remmers finished in fourth. Jean van der Geest finished down in fifth in the end, his worst finish of the season. Philip Pichler in 6th, and Jean van der Geest is now in the Mazda, by the way. Philip Pichler in 6th, Carl Stieg in 7th, with finally a finish to his name, and looks like a relatively strong position. Larry Thomas in 8th, Dennis Oshenko in 9th, Rob Milliken in 10th, Andrew Harper 11th, Brian Watson in 12th, and Johnny Gutierrez in 13th. So that was just a quick run through of last event's results, but now we are going to get across onto this event, and that is going to be we're looking right now at Pablo Finotti here in qualifying. So Pablo Finotti leading the championship, max ballast on board, well, the most ballast on board out of anyone, tied with Jean van der Geest, both on 90 kilos. Jean van der Geest right now down pit lane. Across the timing line goes Pablo Finotti. What will he be able to do? He's given quite a bit of gap to the cars ahead. He's flashing his lights at the guy coming out of pit lane. I think that is Carl Stieg, looking at the livery there, trying to remember what livery he was running. Through the first chicane here as we're running the 1979 version. Yes, the 1979 version of Spielberg here. So it's the one with the chicane at the start as well to slow people up as they were running through that first fast right-hand corner. This is a very fast track anyway. Pablo Finotti then up at the bottom end of the track and heading towards where the modern day layout continues to run. Just a massive long straight, and the slipstream is going to come into play here in the opening stages of the race. Of course, a long race ahead of us once more. Well, not mandatory pit stops, but pit stops are needed to get to the end of the race. Definitely a track that has full throttle. A little bit of a slide on the rear end from Finotti there as he continues around the track. Currently on 1 minute 5 as he goes around. Coming up towards two of my favourite corners on the modern day Spielberg. His left-hander here and the right-hander. Of course, just one really long left-hander in 1979. Up towards the final two times, we're getting lap times placed in. Devlin onto the top. Ricciardi into second. Round comes Pablo Finotti though. Where will he be able to place himself as more lap times getting placed in now? Pablo Finotti across the timing line into third position on the grid right now. as we still see Jean Van der Geest down pit lane, I believe. Yes, we do. Quite a lot of cars down pit lane at the moment. No, now it's telling me no one's down pit lane. Right. I don't know what it's trying to tell me. Here is Jean Van der Geest. He is on a timed lap. Right. My remote listing is very, very bad. Jean Van der Geest coming through the bottom end of the track then as Lockie goes on to the top end of the timing. Nathan Lockie, a new driver, joining here at round number 6. And a great way to join, sitting at the top end of your timing sheet. Jean Van der Geest, where will he be able to place himself? The man on... He is tied with in the championship, tied with on weight ballast. Pablo Finotti currently sits in 4th position, a 10th of a second behind Ricciardi, a 10th of a second ahead of Pitchler. I must say, it is really close this qualifying session at the moment. The closest it's been all season long. Up towards the final few corners now, and Jean Van der Geest doesn't look like he's pushing too hard through that long left-hander. Looks like he's just trying to take it easy. Ricciardi improves on his lap and goes within a second of Nathan Lockie now. The final corner, long right-hander from Jean Van der Geest. A little bit of a wobble midway through, heading up towards the timing line. And Van der Geest goes into 7th. Pablo Finotti is disconnected from the server. Hopefully he'll rejoin as Carl Stieg also goes into 6th position. So right now, yes, Finotti back in now. It's just, I'm just really interested. This is just such a different grid to how we were in the first half of the season. I mean, we missed one event and suddenly the entire grid has just got 10 times closer together. And this looks like it might be a very tight fight, definitely in the midfield. As you can see, from 2nd to 5th, all very close. From 6th to 8th, and quite close between those. As Lockie has improved on his time once more, 138.8. Fantastic times by Nathan Lockie right now as we are watching him head around the first sector. First sector, personal best. He is faster than it. So Nathan Lockie right now going even faster than before. And this slipstream from the back marker sitting, well, just from a driver thing ahead. It's not the racer, not a back marker, just another driver on their flying lap. Not too sure they are. Nathan Lockie will be hoping he isn't held up. Sticking within track limits there. That's the question of how far do you want to drop to the inside. And the car in front of Lockie thinking to go 4 wheels over the white line onto the inside. That can slow you down a little bit because it's a tighter line. You obviously want to run as smooth a line as possible. The driver moves to the outside. Nathan Lockie has to stick it in. Continue on through out of the 2nd sector. The driver behind going off a 117. He's just going faster. Still almost half a second up right now is Nathan Lockie at the top end of your timing. Through the final turn. Denis Shchenko not getting in a relative lap time there. He'll be back out again to try and improve that. Across the timing line goes Nathan Lockie, goes even faster, 38.4. It is Philip Pitchler in 2nd. Philip Pitchler sits in 12th in the championship right now. But he is 2nd in the qualifying session. This is just completely changed at the front. Our championship leaders, Pablo Finotti and Jean Van der Geest, tied on the lead of the championship, sitting 5th and 9th. Van der Geest's decision to go across to the Mazda has certainly made it a more interesting season fight, but he could have given himself away the championship. He might no longer be able to get that championship in the bag because he is finding it difficult. Of course, last time out, 5th position in that Mazda since he swapped across, and now he's sitting here in qualifying all the way down in 9th. Nathan Lockie continuing around as we've got 6 minutes left to go. We're going to have to go and hunt down Johnny Gutierrez, sitting 4th in the championship. Only 2 points ahead of Larry Thomas. Only 10 points behind Tony Talvitti. but he sits 12th in session. Wow, this is just a big change over the rest of the season in the sense of who is sitting where, because it's just the entire grid has been shaken up right now. Denis Shevchenko gets in a respective lap time there into 11th. Rob Milliken is waiting for a better lap out there. He's sitting on 100 points in 7th in the championship. Racing for Flying Crowbar Racing, one of our sponsors here in the Group C Honey Jar Series, alongside Virtual Race Car Engineer and Alternative Streaming Network. Johnny Gutierrez trying his hardest to find as much time as possible, even if that means having some creative interpretations of the track limits. Johnny Gutierrez heading up towards the final turn, sitting 13th in session, 14th in session now as Rob Milliken improves on his lap time, gets a respectable lap time in to 12th, 2 tenths behind Ashenko, 2 tenths ahead of Watson. Across the line goes Johnny Gutierrez. It is a huge improvement for Johnny Gutierrez into 4th position, only just ahead of Sean Devlin. That will really help Gutierrez's fight for 3rd in the championship, because he is only 10 points behind Talvitti. Talvitti sitting 8th in qualifying right now, and of course the top 3 in this series do get prize money at the end of the championship. That means the race winner gets I think it's 50 euros. I think that's right. I believe that's right. I'm going to have to check now. So, let us have a little bit of a look here. The race winner of the championship winner of the series, yes, gets 50 euros. Second place gets 30 euros. And third place gets 20. So, it looks like first and second definitely going to Pablo Finotti or Jean Van der Geest. It's just going to be which way are they going to finish at the top with 3 rounds to go in this championship, over halfway. The question is, though, who's going to get 3rd? Because that's a close fight. You've got 10 points between Talvitti and Gutierrez. Only 2 points down is Larry Thomas. Only 6 points further down is Denis Shevchenko. Only 10 points behind that is Rob Milliken. Only a point behind that is David Ricciardi. So, I mean, you've got a good 5 drivers who are in with a solid chance of getting 3rd in the championship. So, I mean, Gutierrez is going to try his absolute hardest to get as high as he can. But with David Ricciardi is involved in that fight as well, sitting currently ahead of Gutierrez. But it shouldn't really worry him too much if Gutierrez finishes just behind this race. He hasn't lost too many points. He'll only lose 3 points if they finish the race in the position that they are currently sitting. So let us see if we can jump to a Mr. Tony Talvitti here, coming through the start of the lap in his number 55 machine. Currently sitting in the session in 8th position. Not quite as well as the championship standings, where he sits in 3rd. He is 50 points off of the fight for the championship lead. 178 points tied between Finotti and Van der Geest. 128 points given to Tony Talvitti. So currently they are in a currently in a little bit of a mix between them all, and a little bit of a fight definitely down at 3rd. But this qualifying session, nothing like what we've seen before. A couple of new drivers taking part tonight then. So we've got a new driver of Nathan Lockie currently in provisional pole, and by the looks of it, he's going to remain that way to the end of the session. Also new is Angelo Dos Santos, who currently sits in 7th position. So it is actually quite interesting to see that it's 2 new names doing really well in this qualifying session. The car facing the wrong way there. Less than 2 minutes on the clock. Anyone coming across the timing line from now on will be heading on to their last lap. They'll only be able to get 1 more lap in, and I think Tony Talvitti might be one of those drivers hunting that. He's really being able to improve on this lap across the timing line. He does. He moves past Angelo Dos Santos and moves into 7th, 2 tenths of a second ahead now of Dos Santos and Talvitti will continue for another lap, knowing this is his last chance, as a lot of drivers still trying, as Johnny Gutierrez has now moved into third, but not straight back down, as Ricciardi then also improves. The two of them switching over momentarily, switching back now, however. Watching Philip Pitchlet sitting second in the session. He will be able to get another lap in. Will he do it though? Will he go for another lap? Currently sitting second. What's this improvement? No improvement, unfortunately. A tenth of a second off, but he stays out. He's going to go for it again. Currently sitting 3/10 ahead of the rest of the field of Ricciardi, Gutierrez, Devlin. But so it looks like he's sitting confidently in second. It looks like he will have the second position in the bag, but I'm sure he's looking for the lead, although 8/10 is a lot of time. The question is though, is the driver going to be fast enough to in the race, because race pace is going to obviously be different. Last time out at Watkins Glen was the first time this season the pole sitter did not win the race. In fact, the driver who qualified on pole was Jeroen Ramos, and Ramos finished in 4th. That's the only time this season so far that the pole sitter has not won the race. Will Lockie make that 2 in a row that the pole sitter does not win the race, or are we going to see yet again for the 5th time this season the pole sitter take it from flag to flag? Philip Pitchler looking to improve. He's half a second off of Lockie's time in the middle sector. He just needs to keep within 3/10 in this final sector, and he will improve in his time. He's not going to get pole, but he could improve. Up towards the timing line, and across he goes. He doesn't improve. He's 0.003 of a second off of his personal best, and that is qualifying over here. And now we are preparing ourselves for the race here for the Sim Racing Online Group C Honey Jar Series here from round 6 at Spielberg Historic 1979 chicane layout. From pole position is going to be Nathan Lockie. Philip Pitchler is going to be starting in second. Johnny Gutierrez looks like he actually managed to steal a third in that in the end. I'm not 100%. No, David Ricciardi does stay ahead. So we're just waiting for the drivers to grid up here and prepare themselves for the start of the race, of which we've got 16 minutes on the clock. I do apologise for some instability in the network there. I hopefully have just fixed those issues and we should be back stable once more. Unfortunately, whenever we go across sessions, my network seems to kick up. I've been having some major issues with it lately. So if that does die at any point in the race, I will try and repair those issues as quickly as possible. So remember, it is a rolling start. The 60 minutes is part of your time down on the circuit, so by the time they actually go green, it is less than 60 minutes. The last time we had a really smooth final corner like this, where they will be at racing speed before the exit of the corner, we had a massive accident, of which John van der Geest was the man who came out worse. That was the opening round at Riverside. It was a huge accident. Everyone's learnt since then, though. New driver sitting on pole position though. Let's see what happens. So we are going to get going for the formation lap in a moment's time. The lights starting to build up. And we are away as we've got driver overtaking there, straight down, going into the lead. Someone has gone racing here at the start. Sean Devlin has gone racing at the start. Unsure why. He's slowed up a little bit now, but it should be Nathan Lockie in that position. Philip Pitchler is in fact going to be just behind Ricciardi, Gutierrez, Finotti, Talvitti, Dos Santos, Stieg, Van der Geest, Postma, Ashenko, Milliken and Watson. There is your grid. Sean Devlin, I believe, should be in 5th. He is just... There you go. Finally, Sean Devlin's realised his mistake. Whatever Sean Devlin was doing, he's come to a stop. He's going to find his way back into the correct position on the field. He's heading away, so he's in 7th, but I think he's going to hunt his way back up to where he originally was. I think he should be put into the back of the field for that sort of mishap, but luckily he is going to find his way back into 5th. He's realised his mistakes and he's going to start there. What is he doing though? He's overtaking Gutierrez. That should not be a position to Devlin. Devlin is in fact going to give it back. I'm sure there's some stuff going in chat right now about what on earth Sean Devlin is doing. The thing is, this isn't even Devlin's first race. Devlin has had 3 events so far of the 5 this season. He's had 3 or 5. I mean, by now you should know what the rules are. So I don't know what Sean Devlin was thinking there. Maybe just had a lapse of concentration. Maybe just come from one event coming into another one and the starting rules are different. I don't know, but as you can see on the board, it is less than a minute on the clock. Less than an hour, sorry, on the clock. It's been almost 2.5 minutes this formation lap. We are about to go green here at Spielberg for round number 6 of... Oh, as Sean Devlin goes around. Oh, no. So, we are here, though, for round number 6 of the Group C Honey Jar Series, brought to you by SimRacingOnline, broadcasted by Alternative Streaming Network with the sponsors Flying Crowbar Racing and Virtual Race Car Engineer 2018. We're here at Spielberg Ring. Lockie coming around the final turn. We are racing, and it is Nathan Lockie to go from the front of the field. We've got a couple of cars trying to go into a fight down in the back of the middle of the field already, heading up towards the first chicane as we've got a big dive there from Pablo Finotti, trying to fight up his way up the order, getting past the Devlin, who's had some issues at the start. Finotti, championship leader, tied with Van der Geest. He has got a good start, almost getting past Gutierrez. A little bit of lock-up, but there around goes Devlin. Who's he collected? He's collected someone in that. He's collected Carl Stieg. I don't know what's going on with Sean Devlin, but he's falling right down the order. And a huge crash. 3, 4 cars off. All at that turn. Another car around. Turn number 3 or 4, something like that. Big issues. Dennis Ashenko is going to find his way around. Oh my word, I don't even know what's happening. Pablo Finotti though, in 4th. He's found his way past Gutierrez. Lockie and Pitchler remain within a second here on the opening lap for your race lead. The rest of the field dropping down, but that is a crazy start. I don't know what happened. Middle of the field here then. Watching the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th. Can we say Dos Santos is including that in 6th as well? As Gutierrez trying once again creative interpretations of track limits in his attempt to find a way up the order. Moves to the right hand side goes Pablo Finotti. Can't do anything right now. Bit too far off of Ricciardi's time as they come on through and head up towards the timing line. Fastest lap of the race from Nathan Lockie there. A 141.781. That will surely be improved over the course of the race as Dos Santos getting around the outside of Gutierrez. Who's going to have it up towards the braking zone? You can see Ricciardi going defensive on Finotti there. A little bit late braking from Dos Santos, but he has moved into P5. Gutierrez backing out a little bit in 6th, not wanting to try too much with that. Postma gets past Dashenko because Dashenko has gone around. There's a few more fights going on in the midfield here. There's a couple of fights going on everywhere. Dos Santos still trying to hold on from Gutierrez. Can everyone get through this turn this time? Let's see. Yes, it looks like they will, as Ashenko has made his way down pit lane. So has Carl Stieg. Not the best opening laps for them. A great opening lap, though, for this man here, Lockie, moving away. But Pablo Finotti is the man on the hunt here. Winning last time. Sorry, coming second last time out at Watkins Glen. Will be hoping for a win here at Spielberg, but he's got his work cut out for him because Lockie is doing an absolutely fantastic job at the front end. Pitchler not doing too bad either to keep up with him as much as he possibly can at the start of this race. It's a long race though, and a pit stop will be needed to make it to the end. It certainly has every other round this season, so expecting that pit stop once more. And the pit stop is where we've seen things change. We've seen mistakes happen. We've seen strategy calls played where people haven't pitted until the final 10 minutes. They might have pitted within half an hour of the start of the race. You know, the strategy definitely coming into it. As Nathan Lockie once again, 5 lap of the race, a 141.078, as he was up to racing speed that time. Up towards the timing line, the 3 cars very, very close here. It's Finotti, Ricciardi and Dos Santos. Sorry, no, it's Ricciardi, Dos Santos and Gutierrez. That is Finotti pulling away ahead. Dos Santos is in the middle of this in his 103 car, and a great start to his championship fight as well. Only 3 rounds remaining, 2 rounds to go after this one. We're going to be heading to Kailami and to Okayama. We'll be heading to Kailami on the 1st of September and to Okayama on September the 15th. So we are going to the final 2 rounds within the next month, so be sure to hit the follow button to be notified when we do go live here on Sim Racing Online. You can sign up for the final 2 rounds of the championship as well by going across to simracingonline.co.uk. as here goes Gutierrez to the left-hand side. Dos Santos sits to the right, which will be the inside line, but it's not enough. Through goes Johnny Gutierrez. Nice and easily done. No fight really there. As continue to look back towards here, Devlin and Van der Geest. Van der Geest, another man on a mission. Tied championship lead with Pablo Finotti, currently sitting in 7th as Gutierrez makes his way past Ricciardi. So Gutierrez flying there past Ricciardi and Dos Santos, and now will try to hunt down Pablo Finotti, who's running 90 kilos of ballast on board. I don't believe that Gutierrez is running any ballast. I'm just going to check it here. No. Of your top 5, only Finotti and Ricciardi are running ballast. 90 kilos on Finotti, 30 kilos on Ricciardi. Lockie, obviously, no ballast. He's new to the series. Pitchler, no ballast either. But Pitchler sitting all the way down in 12th in the championship, not having the best of championships. And here he goes, Gutierrez. Gutierrez sitting 4th in the championship, but yet without a podium, but doing a fantastic job to be sitting in 4th. He's hunting for his first podium of the season, and he's down in 4th right now. The man ahead of him in the championship is Tony Talvitti. Tony Talvitti is down in 10th in the race right now. Carl Stieg, the man, a lap down. Ashenko will be there very shortly. The rest of the field still trying the hardest to keep up with the pace. Of course, a lot of cars going off at turn 4 on the opening lap of the race. I think it was about 4 or 5 cars turned around there. Ashenko and Stieg, of course, already have made their way down pit lane. I think it was too early to be classified within their pit stop that's going to be needed to get to the end of the race. So I still think they're going to need an additional pit stop. As we watch here, the fight between Pablo Finotti and Johnny Gutierrez. Gutierrez all over the rear, looks to the left-hand side, can't do anything, gets onto the rear, just piling the pressure on as much as he can onto Pablo Finotti. We ride on board. through the final turn, and you can see Gutierrez, he's got the power underneath him, he's trying to use it, but Finotti, the speed that machine's got on the straight just pulls away from Gutierrez, and you can see that's why he's having difficulties, because he can close up through the corners, but the moment they get the power down, away pulls the machine of Pablo Finotti, and he just doesn't have the opportunity to really go for an overtake when this keeps on happening. As Van der Geest now getting involved, he's trying to find his way up because he's got three cars, sorry, separating himself and the his tied championship rival of Finotti, both on 178 points in the championship. That means whoever finishes ahead of the other person here will... Oh, Lockie has made a mistake. I was going to say, whoever does finish ahead of the other person here will take the lead in the championship. But Nathan Lockie has made a big mistake because Pichler is within 1 second now. And I don't know whether that was probably because of the back marker of Denis Oshenko. It looked like it was an issue, or a mistake at least, with trying to get past Oshenko. Was it maybe Oshenko not following the blue flags here, causing issues? Nathan Lockie having to go to the outside, almost gets off. Oshenko is fighting here. Finally, he sticks off to the right. Will Pichler have such a hard fight as well? Or is Oshenko going to fight it? Because he can pull out of the way along the straight, but he's going to remain there. Oshenko, ignoring blue flags, almost goes defensive on Pichler. Taps Pichler as he turns in as well. Oshenko just fighting the drivers that are lapping him. No reason for it. He's just fighting it. They are obviously faster than him. He's finally let them go. Well, let them go is a bit of a loose on that term, but he's finally dropped the lap down, and now he can start to follow them. Try to keep their pace as much as you can. Try to gain as much time on the other people making mistakes. No point fighting people a lap ahead of you. Try to just keep it smooth as you can and gain as much time and see who you can get past, because Watson is now down pit lane. Brian Watson, this is within the time that he could go to the end now on this one stop. If he really wanted to, he could. That is enough time on the with the remaining in the race, because you can go 50 minutes, I think, is the longest we've seen someone go. It's 47. I mean, it will be a stretch, but he can do it. As we're just going to jump back to Van der Geest as he's trying to fight his way towards his championship contender and championship competitor of Finotti. He's about a second and a half behind Angelo Dos Santos right now. So right now it doesn't look too strong for him as they continue on through. He's just going to have to continue running. Of course, tied the heaviest man on track in the slowest car. Slowest car on track as well, as Gutierrez goes into third. Nathan Plurton in the fast lap of the race, but Gutierrez into third position. Pablo Finotti down to fourth. That is what Van der Geest wants to see. That's what Gutierrez wants to see. He's yet to get a podium this season. This is his chance as Watson falls a lap down, still sitting in pit lane, as Gutierrez will try to pull away now. Dos Santos chasing down Ricciardi, looking to find a way into fifth position. Devlin is trying to hunt into this fight as well. He's got Van der Geest just about a second ahead of him. Watson continuing to fall down as Oshenko and Stieg have both got past at this stage in the race. Back towards this fight between Ricciardi and Dos Santos. Little bit of a wobble there. Trying to keep it smooth as possible, but Angelo Dos Santos all over the rear, trying to get this slipstream here. Slipstream definitely going to be coming into play, but not quite when one of the drivers in the Mercedes, that Mercedes is just looks so powerful on the straights. It's almost nothing the car behind can do whenever it got onto the straight. But here goes. It looks like Dos Santos actually tried to get around the outside there. Didn't work out on the exit as our camera cuts back towards this fight. Still very close though. We're going to go on board with Angelo Dos Santos chasing down Ricciardi. Moves to the right hand side. Nathan Lockie, once again, a fastest lap in this race as he is just flying out in your lead right now. Moves to the right-hand side. Can't get past Ricciardi. Remains behind. I must say his arms look a little broken there. But anyway. Up towards the timing line. This fight for 5th and 6th position continues. As we are a quarter of the way through the event. 15 minutes down. 45 to go. We remain on board with Angelo Dos Santos trying to chase down a David Ricciardi. Ricciardi again just pulling away on the straights, just showing you the power of the Mercedes. Pitchler still sticking within 1.5 seconds to Lockie. Of course, Lockie has increased that a little bit from 8 tenths since the back marker. But yeah, it's not as much as I thought it was. Two names, like, I was going to say Nathan Lockie, new, and Philip Pitchler down in 12th in championship after 3 events. He's had 1 DNF as well. He's just not had the best of seasons. Yet here, 2nd position, it's a massive turnaround. An average finish for Pitchler of 8th position. But currently he's in 2nd. With a chance of a win here if Lockie makes any mistakes. And if he's able to keep this sort of time between the two of them, he could jump him in that pit lane. So we continue to watch the fight. So back towards Angelo Dos Santos and David Ricciardi. They're coming up towards the final corners now. Still got Van der Geest and Devlin behind. In fact, Van der Geest is very much within this fight now, and he'll be trying to disperse these two as quickly as possible, because the moment he's got past Dos Santos and Ricciardi, he's right behind Finotti. I mean, the gap is about 11 seconds, but he's there, right behind in position, and it will only be 2 points between them heading into the penultimate round at Kyalami if they finish 4th and 5th position. If they finish the way they are now, there will be 6 points between them. So Van der Geest wants as many positions gained right here, right now. He's in the fight. He's going to try and do it, but Devlin currently all over his rear end. Again, Van der Geest in the heaviest machine on track, 90 kilos. Also in the machine that's ultimately the slowest. Definitely looking like the slowest out on track, and it's creating some real problems for Van der Geest, as we're going to go have a little look here, because he is trying to defend from Devlin. Well, not too hard from defending. He's just sort of running around. If he defends from Devlin, he defends from Devlin. That means he doesn't look like he's too worried about his rear view right now. He didn't go into any defensive line. He's just running. But here goes Devlin on the exit. Can our camera change? There you go. But no, back to the racing line goes Jean Van der Geest. Another fast lap of the race by Nathan Lockie. And it's just, every time, it's just a tiny fraction of a second improvement, but that gap now between your race leaders is up to 9 seconds. I must say Van der Geest has dropped off though from Dos Santos and Ricciardi ahead. He is now under full flank from Delvin and Talvitti. Of course, Talvitti 50 points behind in the championship. He wants to get that 1st or 2nd. He wants to hold on a 3rd at that. Gutierrez, who currently is the man to take 3rd from him, sitting in 3rd in the race, and it'll be his first podium if he can finish there, as we just see these two fights going on. The fight between Finotti and Ricciardi ahead, the fight between Van der Geest and Devlin here. Up towards turn number 1, the fight ahead remains single file, double file between Van der Geest and Devlin, but they sort themselves out into the corner. Van der Geest holds on, but once again along these very fast track, he's going to lose a lot of time on this straights, and I think the best opportunity that Mazda's going to have is in its home country. It's going to be in Japan when we go to Okayama for the final round. That's going to be its best chance, because it's got so many small tight corners. It's not got many straights. I mean, you've got one really long straight along the back, but other than that, there's not too many long straights. Not enough for the Mercedes power to really just mug off the Mazda. So I'm thinking that that's going to be that is going to be Van der Geest's chance there, really, and he's going to want to try and just hold on for that final round. He's just going to try and keep as close to Finotti as possible, and then do his absolute best once again, side by side, as these drivers come through up towards the long left-hander. Van der Geest actually going defensive that time. It's going to send him slightly wide. Devlin trying to switch across to the inside line. Van der Geest has left more than enough room on the inside. That's really going to give Devlin the move. There goes Devlin. Van der Geest did not have to leave that at all. Devlin just wasn't there. Van der Geest just gave that position away in that fight. Unfortunately so for him, he's down to 8th. Great news for Ricciardi. No, it's not for Ricciardi. Great news for Finotti. I read the wrong name. Great news for Finotti, though, as he will be able to extend the lead in the championship if they finish this way to 8 points. And even if he loses to Talvitti as well, the gap will be to 10 points. But no, off goes Devlin. And back in a 7th goes Van der Geest, no longer under as much pressure. And we'll try to catch back up to the leading fight. We've got a we've got a retirement from Watson. A retirement from this race for Brian Watson, our first DNF of the night, which is a surprise. Bear in mind we have 5 cars spin at turn 4 on the opening lap. But I don't know what happened there. Just cars missing their braking points by the look of it. I don't know. If it was real life, I would suggest there was oil down on the circuit. That's definitely what it looked like, the way that the cars went off, because being just a simulator, that sort of stuff isn't simulated, which is a shame. But that sort of stuff isn't simulated, and therefore it was just drivers all missing their braking point on the opening lap as they were all pushing for position. As we are a third of the way through the race, 20 minutes through the race. And Nathan Lockie is on the top of the timing, the newcomer to the series here, sitting in the lead of the race from pole position. He's not lost that lead at all during this event. Pitchler is in 2nd position. Gutierrez in 3rd. 4th is Finotti. Ricciardi sits in 5th. Dos Santos in 6th. Van der Geest in 7th. Talvitti 8th. 9th is Devlin, and 10th is Postman, Miller, Konashenko, and Stieg running out into the field. Watson being our only retirement. Championship leaders, though, 4th and 7th, Finotti and Van der Geest. The 2 drivers you're keeping your eye on tonight, because they are the drivers that could really... they're the drivers that are fighting for this championship lead. They're the ones that you got to keep your eye on. Van der Geest trying his hardest, because the moment he gets past Dos Santos and Ricciardi, the points difference between Finotti and Van der Geest reduces significantly going into the penultimate round. And if they finish 4th and 5th, there will only be 2 points between them going to Kailami. However, the lower Van der Geest finishes, the bigger the point gap is, because of course they are tied on points right now, 178 to 178. This is actually the closest series I've ever commentated on for the championship, and I'm just interested to see that this championship could end in a tie, depending on the way that they finish this race. And it's been so close all season long, and this could be really, it's just too close to call right now in this race. If this was the final event, I'd call Finotti for the championship, but this is only one event of the final 3. We've still got 2 more events coming up after this one, where we head to Kailami and then to Okayama. And like I said, Van der Geest not looking too keen here at Spielberg and his Mazda with the 90 kilos of ballast on board. But going forward, going towards Kailami, I think he's going to improve, and Okayama is definitely going to be where the Mazda stands out. Of course, Finotti, if he gets that 3rd position off of Gutierrez once more, that'll be even more ballast on board. Right now, Finotti and Van der Geest, not only are they tied on points with 178, they're tied on ballast with 90 kilos on board. Here goes Tony Talvitti for 7th position to the inside of John Van der Geest. Van der Geest allows him through. They both slightly missed their braking point. Van der Geest running slightly deeper. Also a change up ahead. Angelo Dos Santos has just made his way past David Ricciardi in the same corner. 25 minutes into this race and 2 changes right at the same corner. They continue around with 25 minutes into this race. We've still got 35 to go. We're reaching the halfway point here in the Sim Racing Online's event as Ricciardi dives back through past Dos Santos on the straight, just showing that Mercedes power, the raw Mercedes power. Dos Santos, though, going to the inside for the outside of the turn. There's a little bit of contact and a big hit. A big hit. Ricciardi in the wall. A huge hit. David Ricciardi. Is this a retirement? A big hit with the racing barriers after a small tap with Angelo Dos Santos. I think he's trying to get clear. He is. He I believe, is stuck on the racing barriers here. David Ricciardi, the only way he can... I don't think he can get back in this race. He jumps down to pit lane. And he is out. David Ricciardi, the second retirement from tonight. Just a small tap with Dos Santos places him out of the race. Dos Santos might be really annoyed with himself and looks like really a little bit distracted going into the first chicane. Talvini catching up as Sean Devlin makes a way past Van der Geest. Van der Geest just falling down the order. He could have been gifted 6th position in this race with only one car between himself and Finori, but he's just falling down the order. That Mazda just not working here. We know Van der Geest is a very fast driver. He showed that the first half of the season, but he's jumped into the Mazda to give himself more of a challenge, and it certainly is more of a challenge. He's having big difficulties right now staying in a decent part in this race. $33 minutes on the clock. Nathan Lockie still leading the way. Philip Pitchler still in second. And Johnny Gutierrez on the hunt for his first podium this season. And what will be his jump back into third, I believe. If he finishes third with Talviti in 6th, there will be 3 points between. Gutierrez will remain in 4th. There will be 3 points between them. He's probably hoping that Van der Geest does improve here, but actually it looks like Delvin is the man that will probably be the biggest rival to Talviti at the moment. And Gutierrez will want Talviti as low down as possible. As we're coming up to the halfway stage here, I am going to go take a momentary break as we are going to ride on board with, I'm going to say, your race leader, because we've not watched him at all so far this race. So we're going to ride on board with Nathan Lockie. I'll be back in a moment's time as we take this mid-race break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello everybody and welcome back to Sim Racing Online Group C Honey Jar Series here. Going to live from Spielberg 1979. We've got the chicane and we have got Roll Postma down the pit right now for what in the middle of the race. That will definitely be his pit stop of the race, and he'll come back out and run to the end. But has there been any changes whilst I have been gone? Yes, Devlin. No, there haven't. I was going to say Devlin and Talvitti changed, but that was the order it already was, wasn't it? So apart from Postma pitting, I don't think there's actually been any changes so far. Whilst I was gone for a few minutes there, as Assetto moves up to 10th. Postma, I believe, is finally out. So he's come out, but only just behind Assetto, who's literally directly in front of him. Postma should be able to disperse him pretty quickly, but finally Assetto actually has someone he can fight and might get almost some spark re-energized in him, and we might see some proper pushing from Dennis Assetto there, trying to hold on to a top 10 for the moment's time. 28 minutes remaining in this race as the drivers continue to push around the track. An hour of racing is a very long time, but we are going to be seeing even longer later in the year, and by later in the year I mean starting next month on September the 2nd, the day after the next round. On September the 2nd, the Gear Multi-Class Endurance Pack Studio 397 series will start here on Sim Racing Online. You can sign up for that by heading across to simracingonline.co.uk. Around goes Dos Santos, Angelo Dos Santos around. He's been having such a good race. Up moves Devlin, up moves Talvitti, up moves Van der Geest. That's exactly what Van der Geest wants. Down goes Dos Santos. Well, I was going to say, continuing on though, yes, the Gear Multi-Class Endurance Pack, which will be running the LMP2s and GTEs, will be starting where we should be heading to Spa-Francorchamps. There may be some issues that might change that track, however. But we'll be heading live for 90 minutes of racing for 5 of the rounds. Over 2 hours of racing when we go to Le Mans for round number 2. That will all be broadcasted live here on twitch.tv/Sim Racing Online. However, it will not be brought to you by me. It will be brought to you by our wonderful friends Alex Skinner and Matthias Marcel. So be sure to join those when we go live. I'll actually be racing in it myself, so be sure to check out that. The race gap, the race leader's gap between second position is 7.5 seconds. Now that is easily workable in the pit lane. If Lockie makes a big mistake, then Pitchler could gain that time, but I hardly doubt it. But we are coming up 35 minutes into the race, coming up to 25 minutes to go. We'll be seeing cars. Everyone will pit within the next 15 minutes. There's no doubt. Within the next 15 minutes, everyone would have had to come down pit lane. But right now, we've seen hardly anyone come down pit lane. Literally, hardly anyone's visited it, which is a real surprise. Definitely different from the opening round at Riverside. Massively different, because at Riverside we did see quite a lot of people pit early on and only a few cars take it to the end. It looks like we're seeing a lot of drivers push it further, maybe within the final 20 minutes. Some drivers pushing into the final 15. Of course, I don't think anyone's pushed it further than about 7 minutes to go in the race. And that was... where was that? That was at... I think that was at Bukerniki, because Bukerniki took like... no, that was at Interlagos, because Interlagos warm-up lap took about 5 minutes. So the amount of fuel saved was crazy. So drivers could go that little bit further. I'm not too sure what the strategies were at Watkins Glen, of course, because unfortunately I didn't turn up there, so we didn't get a broadcast. But we're here at Spielberg, and the strategy's definitely changing. Everything changing from the first half of the season. First half of the season looked very dominant from Finotti, very dominant from Van der Geest. Second half of the season, everything's changed. Different drivers at the top, different drivers looking dominant, different strategies being on play. Only 4 cars a lap down, unlike the entire field, which we saw, I think, twice from Van der Geest. As we're into the final 25 minutes to go here. we continue to just basically watch some drivers just have a little bit of hot laps around. At the moment, there's not really many fights going on the track. This being one of the closest. Devlin being chased by Tony Talvitti. Talvitti moving up the order, which is what he wants to see. It's not what Gutierrez wants to see. I mean, Gutierrez will be happy with a podium in this race. What he won't be happy with, it won't give him third position back for the penultimate round. He will still have to continue to fight going into Kyalami. You can, of course, sign up for the final 2 rounds, or just the final 1, or the other if you really wanted to. You don't have to sign up for every single event here at SimRacingOnline. Pick and choose. Go and sign up for it, though, if you want to. SimRacingOnline.co.uk. Go check out the Group C Honey Jar Series. As Pablo Finotti, the championship leader, down pit lane. And the first of our top runners to come into the pits. Past goes Devlin. Past goes Talvitti. Is Finotti back out on track? Yes, he is. Van der Geest hasn't even gone past. Finotti is so far ahead of his rival Jean Van der Geest here. I can tell you why. Finotti is in the car that's fastest overall. Of course, not fastest on the straights. That will be given to the... Actually, no, 1 minute. Finotti is the fastest on the straight, isn't he? Yes. Finotti is in the Mercedes. That's the fastest on the straights. Which helps a lot here. Van der Geest is in the Mazda, which is just the slowest car. There's no benefit behind a Mazda at all. I mean, it is one of the... I don't know why people chose it. I know that Jean Van der Geest chose it because he wanted a little bit of a challenge. He wanted a little bit of a fight, and he's definitely getting it here. Not quite the fight we would have hoped for. He got 5th last time out in his first time in the car at Watkins Glen. Currently 7th. It's not going well with his new machine. 22 minutes. We'll be seeing about maybe... probably most of the field come down within the next 10. No, within the next 5 even. Everyone will probably come down within the next 10 because we're coming up to that final 20 minutes. So we are coming up to the final third of the race. It's just flying by right now. As they continue to head around. Cross the line goes Jean Van der Geest. Back up then to Philip Pitchler. Again, like the race leader or driver, we've not really been paying too much attention to this race. Purely because he is just doing his own stuff. He's dropped almost 10 seconds off of Lockie. But that is actually rather close to the race leader. And definitely in relation to other events, the race leader's normally a lap ahead of the rest of the field. So he's doing actually quite a good job to hold on to Lockie as much as possible. Nathan Lockie, another fastest lap of the race that time. He's getting so many of them. But what I think we're going to see is we could see a mistake from Lockie in pit lane, which will allow Pitchler to gain time. But I don't think we're going to see 10 seconds worth of mistakes from Lockie in that pit lane or on the in-lap or the out-lap or anything. I don't think there's enough. And I think Lockie, in his first race this season, is going to... What I think is actually going to take the race win here. He took the pole position and it looks like he's going to take the win. Just going to go and check out Nathan Lockie's profile, in fact. And he joined 10 days ago. He joined for this series. Nathan Lockie, his first ever race at SimRacingOnline. And he is absolutely smashing it right about now. This is absolutely fantastic stuff. Absolutely crazy. As we're just going to continue to watch around. I mean, the final 2 rounds, it's going to be... Again, it's not... Right now, it's not to do with position on track that these drivers are fighting for. They're thinking about the overall result of the championship, and we've got to see what happens though. We need to see what happens. But anyway, continuing on through and trying to just count on who's close here. We've got Tony Talvitti chasing down Sean Devlin. 4th and 5th position still. I say chasing down. They've sort of remained this gap since the very beginning. So it's going to be rather interesting to see what might happen here and what could happen. But continuing on through anyway and heading up towards the back end of the track now and back towards the timing line. About, what's that? About 0.8 of a second between them as they continue on through. As we are into the final third of this race. We're into the final 20 minutes of this motor race. And it is Nathan Lockyer leading the way. It's Pitchler in 2nd. It's Gutierrez 3rd. Sean Devlin in 4th. Tony Talvitti in 5th. Pablo Finotti 6th, John Vandergee 7th, Dos Santos in 8th, Roll Postman 9th, Dennis Oshenko 10th, Rob Milliken 11th, Carl Stieg 12th. Retirements from Ricciardi following his huge accident with contact with Dos Santos, and then retirement from retirement from Watson also. Read the wrong name. So 2 retirements in this race so far. We've still got 12 going on. Of course, this event championship winner gets 50 euros. Driver who finishes 2nd in the championship gets 30. The driver who finishes 3rd gets 20, which is why Talvitti is trying his absolute hardest to pull up this race right now, because Gutierrez, who sits 4th in the championship and 10 points behind, is sitting 3rd in the race on target for his first ever podium. Talvitti sitting 5th, just behind him, 3 seconds behind him, is Finotti. Now remember, Finotti has already made a pit stop this race. Tony Talvitti has not. Neither has most of your field, to be totally honest. And I'm expecting him to come down within the next few minutes. 15 minutes to go. It might be a few drivers trying to push all the way to that 10-minute zone like we saw before. But how fast this track is, how much these cars are on their throttle, their gas pedal. I'm just going to guess that you're not going to be able to save too much fuel here. And you are going to have to pit earlier rather than later. You don't want to risk it and risk running out of fuel, which I have seen in quite a few series. Drivers running out of fuel on the final lap or two. Because they've underfueled the car. I've seen people run out of fuel a lap before pitting because they thought they had just a little bit more and they could save just a little bit more. A couple of cars going side by side just up ahead. Who was that? I think that was back markers. Yes, that was Sean Devlin. Who is he getting past there? Denis Oshenko. Oshenko didn't look too fighty that time. I think he learned his lesson from earlier on, which is good. But lock up from Sean Devlin. And he's back on the track. But through goes Tony Talvitti. That's what he wants. That's not what Gutierrez wants. Tony Talvitti into 4th. Your race leaders down pit lane. Nathan Lockyer is down pit lane. He's to a stop. He's going to give away the race lead here to Pitchler, who crosses the line. And for the first time this race, Lockyer will not lead a lap. He is currently at a stop. When will we see him go again? We saw very quick stops from the likes of Finotti. But a long stop could play into advantage of Pitchler to give him the lead. A 10-second mistake in pit lane will help Pitchler. Out comes Lockyer back into the pit road. Past my parked car. And out onto the track. Lockyer out. Gutierrez also down pit lane just behind. But Lockyer out of pit lane. 32 seconds. 33 seconds behind Pitchler. So he was in the pits for about 40 seconds, give or take. Will Pitchler be able to improve on that? When will the new race leader, Philip Pitchler, decide to make his stop in the race? As they come through to the bottom end of the circuit now. 15 minutes on the board. 15 minutes. That is it on the board right now. We are 3/4 of the way through this race. We are nearing the end. And we're waiting for drivers to stop. Tony Talvitti gets into 3rd. Gutierrez down to 4th, but that is with a pit stop between them. Gutierrez has come out on circuit, thrown off the track by Finotti. Finotti has got what will be 3rd position in the race. Gutierrez loses the podium. This is good news for Finotti. Not good news in the long run because it will be a weight penalty. But Pitchler down pit lane. Where will he come out in regards to Nathan Lockie? I mean, Lockie already coming up towards the final turn. Pitchler in the stop right at the very end, which means he cannot get up to speed before he gets back onto the racing track. But here comes Nathan Lockie. And it looks like Lockie will take back the racing lead. There he is in the distance. Yep, he will. Nathan Lockie to take back the lead here. Philip Pitchler still at a stop down pit lane. Still at a stop down pit lane. Still at a stop. There we go. A very slow getaway for Pitchler. But he finally gets away in 2nd. And he was the one who lost 10 seconds in pit lane. Not Lockie, which I was suggesting in the sense of which would have created a great battle. Van der Geest under attack here from Dos Santos. And almost Devlin as well in the background. But under attack here from Dos Santos. And could be a real chance here. It is the fight we've also got to look for is Gutierrez and Finotti. What's going to happen between the two of those? Because Gutierrez will want that podium, Finotti will want that podium, and the extended championship lead. Across the time in line, 13 minutes to go. We're still waiting for Van der Geest to come down pit lane. He's got Dos Santos all over the rear. He's going to want to pit earlier rather than later, though, because if he starts getting in a fight with these guys, it's going to lose him time. He tries to just get out on his own, and almost just ignore the guys out on track with him. And just try to go as smooth as possible. He could get a legitimate 6th position in this race. And he could get a decent position with Finotti's finish. And try. Because, I mean, I think he's going to jump Talvitti as well. So, I mean, he's got a chance here of getting 5th in the race. Which will be good news for him. Nathan Lockie. Fastest lap of the race once more, a 39.8, our first 39 of the race. Coming up to 12 minutes, Van der Geest is going to pit this lap or next lap. He can't go much further than that, surely. Ashenko, Postma, swapping around in 9th and 10th position. Oh, I was going to say, I thought the car behind Van der Geest was about to jump into him. I don't know who that is. Is that actually... Is Dos Santos. So who is off? It's Postma off the track. Postma gets on. Big lockup from who I believe was... I don't even know. Who was that? I don't know who did the big lockup there. It was Sean Devlin did a big lockup to avoid the battle. To avoid the contact, sorry, between the two of them. And he did so well. Will Jean Van der Geest come down pit lane this time by? Around he goes. We're still waiting for Talvitti as well. Talvitti hasn't come down pit lane. Van der Geest not coming down pit lane. Dos Santos has just almost thrown away this position here. He's going to be overtaken by who I believe is Carl Stieg. A lap down. Stieg running wide though and shuts him off. Shuts Dos Santos off. Not really the best move for a backmarker. I mean, yes, Dos Santos lost a little bit of time. Not the best move for a backmarker though. But what really would be the outcome of that is it's helped Van der Geest get a bit of a gap now. Sean Devlin retired the car. He's back in the session though, so I think we might see him back out in that car once more. May have been a disconnect. Devlin is back down pit lane once more. So will we see him back out? We've got 10 minutes left to go on the clock. It is still close between this fight. It's also close between Finotti and Gutierrez. Still keeping an eye on that battle. Gutierrez was much faster in the first stint. Will he be able to replicate that here in the second stint? Obviously, the ballast on board Finotti will be helping out Gutierrez quite a lot. But how much by? Will it be enough to still get that podium position in this race? Still waiting for Talvitti and Van der Geest to come down pit lane this race. Talviti crosses the line to go on yet another lap. These cars able to go a lot further than I was expecting. I really don't think to the end. But it seems like within the final 10 minutes. Comes down pit lane. It's Carl Stieg. Stieg down pit lane from 10th position. That will annoy Dos Santos even more. Because Stieg went for the overtake when he's a lap down. And then promptly comes into pit lane that lap after slowing Dos Santos down quite a bit. So there might be some bad blood between the two. Hopefully it'll all get sorted. I'm sure we've forgotten after this race. Just a momentary lapse in concentration, I think, from both drivers. Postma moves into P10. Milliken up to P11 as Stieg falls to the rear of the field with his pit stop. Continuing to watch Van der Geest here, but I'm going to change that because Talviti is under attack from Pablo Finotti. Finotti obviously a pit stop ahead of Talviti anyway, but this fight could really help out Gutierrez. Gutierrez will be hoping Talviti stays on the track as long as possible and holds up Finotti as much as possible as they come on through, because this fight might allow Gutierrez to get that 3rd position and defend it for the final 9 minutes of this race. We've just got no time left in this race at all. We're into the final stage here, and drivers will be pushing their absolute hardest. Stieg falls 2 laps down from our race leader, Nathan Lockie. Towards the final turn they go, past our cameras. Talviti, will we see him finally down pit lane? He's sticking to the right, but he stays out. Tony Talviti remains on track. John Van der Geest is the next man in question. Van der Geest sitting in, defending from Dos Santos in 7th. Coming around the final turn. They remain out. Have they already done their pit stop? No way have they already done their pit stop. No way. Have they actually? They might have already done their pit stop in this. You know what? I'm thinking they have. They have, haven't they? Is this the legitimate position? Actually, Talviti pitted really early, didn't he? No. I don't know anymore. I'm confused. That's really not what I'm meant to be, but I am. I'm confused. Through goes Pablo Finotti. Not much Talviti could do. Like, no. That Mercedes just absolutely A-class on the straights. Nothing Tony Talviti could do, but have they pitted already? Because we're getting into the final stage of this race. 7 minutes to go. We're within what is going to be, like, what? 4 or 5 laps remaining? No, more than that. 5, maybe 6, 6 laps maybe. No, that's too many. 5 laps. Yeah, 5 laps seems alright. 4 or 5 seems alright. I think that's all we're going to get here. As Gutierrez has also made his way past Talviti. Talviti's dropped off. Is this a suggestion? That's good news for Gutierrez because he needs to be ahead of Talviti if he wants a chance at this 3rd. But are we going to see Talviti come down pit lane, or has they already done so? He stays out. Important thing that this has made is the fight for 3rd back on once more. Finotti, Gutierrez, it's close again. Into turn 1, but I'm thinking that Finotti's now got it in the bag. I'm thinking that he can hold it together as they come through. Six minutes on the board. That is all that remains. It is Nathan Lockie, the newcomer, on top. It's Pitchler in 2nd, and Finotti currently rounds out your podium, closely chased by Gutierrez and Talviti. Still very close, though, between the 6th and 7th. Van der Geest and Dos Santos. We got to the stage in the middle part of this race where the drivers were starting to separate. That's definitely changed once more for the end here as drivers are pushing their hardest for positions. Van der Geest all under attack here as Dos Santos over his rear. Dos Santos looks to the left, can't do anything now, squeezes to the right, gets the grass, a little bit of a wobble, a lock up, he goes wide, he holds it, a slide from Van der Geest. So not much time lost between the two of them. They're still going to be very close. And Dos Santos going for the exit. He's on the outside line. They're running side by side. There's a little bit of a tap. Dos Santos keeps it within track limits. Doesn't touch the grass. Van der Geest remains ahead in 6th. Just a tiny tap there between the two of them. And no, Dos Santos pushes too hard. He pushes too hard. He loses time. He's trying to get back in this fight. Dos Santos, another newcomer here tonight. And no! Dos Santos off at the final turn. He still had a chance at 6th, but I think that is the biscuit that's thrown it away within the final 5 minutes. That makes me assume that Talviti and Van der Geest definitely have done their pit stops. But there's no way they would have gone this far into the race without a stop. Only half a second between Finotti and Gutierrez. Gutierrez still deep on the hunt for his first podium of the season here at the final, in the final half of the season. 3 races to go, 2 to go after this one. The gap opening, of course, along the straights as that Mercedes just dominates. But Gutierrez trying his hardest behind in the Porsche. Trying his absolute hardest. He gets back over the rear end as they head up towards the final few turns. Running on board with Gutierrez right now. Johnny Gutierrez tries to find a way through. He could have a chance here into the final turn. He could, but it's a straight beforehand. That's not going to help him. Up towards the final turn. It's still so close between these two. He's got to get through before the chicane. Otherwise, that's going to be Finotti pulling the gap once more. He's all over the rear. He's got to try and make almost a dive bomb move into turn 1. There's no really way else to get through. Because the issue is, he closes up in the second half of the course, which lacks overtaking areas, like overtaking opportunities. But the moment we get into the overtaking opportunities sections, the Mercedes just pulls away before them. He just pulls away on the straights. And the moment we get to, well, I say straights in inverted commas because it's not really straights around most of this course. But the moment they get to the corners, the slow corners where the Porsche can get past, he's able to close the gap, but he's just not close enough already with only 2.5 minutes in the final few laps. Gutierrez will be pushing his absolute hardest. Nathan Lockie going across the line to lead yet another lap. He's led all bar 2 this race where Pitchler led them when Lockie was down pit lane. We're up towards the final 2 minutes, and I think next lap will be the last lap of the race. Looking at the timing, it looks like it will. So I'll keep an eye on when Lucky comes across the timing line to see what it may be. Again, Gutierrez all over the rear end of Finotti. He's looked to the inside. Gutierrez has got to the inside. He's got the grass, though. He tried it. He tried his hardest to get past Finotti, and now he's gone wide. He's going to lose a little bit of time. Talviti trying to get involved behind with the man he's fighting in the championship of Gutierrez. Gutierrez all over the rear end. A little bit of a wobble, a little bit of a tap. Nothing he can do. He's fighting so hard to get the podium here through the final turn. He just knows there's nothing he can do. If next lap's the final lap, he's going to have to do it before the final turn because that Mercedes just pulls away before the timing line. I mean, the Mazda behind of Talviti trying his hardest. Dos Santos gets past Van der Geest finally. Not good news for Van der Geest, who's down to 7th. His championship rival, who's tied with him in the championship, up to 3rd. That means that Finotti looks like he'll be scoring 33 points in this race, whereas Van der Geest will only be scoring for 22. That'll be 11 points between them, which will be one of the biggest gaps so far this season, heading into the penultimate round at Kyalami. Like I said, Okayama's going to be the Mazda's best chance and Van der Geest's best chance, but Kyalami, he's going to have to really step up his game. "30 seconds to go. Where is Nathan Lockie? Nathan Lockie's only in the first sector. This is the final lap of the race. And Nathan Lockie has led it all bar 2 laps from flag to flag, from pole He's going to win his first race here on Sim Racing Online. His first race here in the Honey Jar Series. He has just shown utter and pure domination here tonight in his Porsche. The machine which showed domination from Van der Geest. I believe Van der Geest was in the Porsche. But here we go. The final lap of the race is upon us. Nathan Lockie. New to Sim Racing Online. As Gutierrez and Talvitti exchange positions in a fight. But here comes the race winner. Nathan Lockie to win. Now to check on the fight for the podium. Finotti looks pretty set. Pretty set. Van der Geest finished this race in 7th. Not where he wanted to finish. Milliken gets past Postma right at the end, but Postma swaps back around as those two are fighting their way to the line. In fact, the reason being, Rob Milliken spun as soon as he got the position. Tony Talvitti makes a mistake and gives Gutierrez some breathing room. As Stig and Milliken finish the race 11th and 12th. Philip Pitchler comes across the line to finish P2. Devlin comes across the line to finish P8. Look at how hard Gutierrez is pushing. In fact, Benotti is trying to save fuel by the look of it. He's going as defensive as possible. There's contact. There's contact. They're both around. Gutierrez keeps it straight. Benotti spins. But Benotti, I don't know what he was doing. He was going so slow. I think he's out of fuel. But he just slowed right down on the racing line and tried to force Gutierrez off. That was Finotti's own doing. And for it, Gutierrez gets his first podium of the season. Pablo Finotti finishes 4th. Tony Talvitti takes 5th position. Denis Shashenko to come round to finish 9th. And Angelo Dos Santos in his first race of the season finishes 6th. What an end. What an end. Absolutely crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy stuff there. And absolute fantastic victory there. Crazy, but absolutely fantastic victory to Nathan Lockie. And a great job to him for that result as well. As that was just absolutely crazy. I don't think I could have asked for any better in that race. That was just absolutely fantastic. Well done to all of our race winners there, or to race finishers there, to our podium. Just fantastic stuff for Gutierrez, but contact between Gutierrez and championship leader Pablo Finotti is the question of what was Finotti thinking, and we got it from a really weird angle, so I can't put in exactly what happened. There may be a race report following that, but I can't say exactly what happened. But from the angle we got, Finotti was just going so slow. The fact that he lost 2 seconds there or thereabouts within that sector to Gutierrez, it was just questionable. And then the way that he held, like, just slowed, it looked like he was going so slow, stuck it on the racing line, and then just promptly didn't turn for the left-hander. Gutierrez tried the outside, was just getting forced, almost forced off the track. The only thing he could do was hit the back end of Finotti, and that's what happened. Finotti was the one that took the brunt of it. Luckily, only lost 1 position. Luckily, Gutierrez didn't lose anything from it. In fact, he gained up onto the podium. But that's going to be the question of what actually happened in that incident. I couldn't tell very well from the camera angle that we had, but big mistake there for well, just for the drivers in general. But I think it was really just misjudgment from Finotti in his defending. I don't know what happened, but big issue there, and ultimately it cost him the podium. Luckily, it will mean that he won't get any additional ballast on board his car. What will that mean with the points though? Pablo Finotti will be up on 100 and no, he'll be up on 200 and he'll be up on 200 and what would that be? 211. John Van der Geest, however, will be on... No, sorry, he'll be on 208. Van der Geest, however, will be on, that's 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, will be on 102. So I think there's going to be 6 points between them heading into Kyalami for the penultimate round. Be sure to catch us for that event, though, September 1st, at the same time as this one, at 8 p.m. BST. And that will be 7 p.m. GMT. Be sure to catch us live September 1st. Also catch us live for September 2nd as we start the Gear Multi-Class Endurance Series with the Enduro Racers Studio 397 Endurance Pack LMP2s and GTEs. We should be going to Spa, but that may change following some issues that have been arisen for that circuit. But that will be on September 2nd at also 8 o'clock. So be sure to hit the follow button to be notified when we do go live here at SimRacingOnline's Twitch page. You can also catch up on all the events once more in the videos tab, as well as on the media tab over on simracingonline.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining here. Hope you have enjoyed. I've been Joseph Wright of Alternative Streaming Network. This has been the Sim Racing Online Group C Honey Jar Series, round number 6 from the Spielberg circuit here in Austria. We'll see you next time out in Kyalami in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you then. Goodbye.